My name is Shelby Huber, and this is the Persuasive Speech. The title of my speech is Darfur, Crimes Against Humanity, and my specific purpose is to persuade the audience that aid must be given to the UN by the world's leading economic countries, including the U.S., to end the conflict in Darfur, Sudan. In introduction, our world has allowed rape, murder, and child abduction to become the everyday life for the people of Darfur, Sudan. In order for the UN efforts to end this deadly civil war, it must get financial and military support from the world's superpowers, including the U.S., China, the European Union, and others. If the UN does not receive support, their efforts will remain futile, as they are understaffed and ill-equipped. Rape, murder, and the use of child soldiers will continue to prevail over the region until a successful intervention is executed. I have researched and read numerous reports from Amnesty International, MSNBC, and the UN itself to get the latest updates and learn the history, how this conflict came about in Darfur. I have two main points. The first main point being the UN intervention force does not have enough international support to stop the violence that has displaced hundreds and thousands of people from their homes and killed an estimated 300,000 others. The second one is if the world's top nations give military and financial support, a coalition army can successfully mount an operation to stop the fighting and rescue refugees from danger until a peace agreement can be made between the two fighting sides. One problem being, the world chooses to turn its back on Darfur, ignoring the horrors that occur every day. Embarrassed by the crimes against humanity, the international community decided to ignore the conflict in Darfur. The UN force does not have enough tanks, helicopters, weapons, and ammunition to protect the refugees who come to their bases and camps for safety. This is a refugee camp. Although people are in the refugee camps, there are not enough soldiers to patrol them, and many are frequently raped and killed by the militias that surround the camps and bases. An estimated 6,000 children have been taken, some as young as 10 years old, to fight on both sides of the conflict. The African rebels known as the Sudan Liberation Movement, or the other rebel faction known as the Justice and Equality Movement, and the Arab Sudanese government and supporting Arab militias. Children are put on the front lines, so the older, more experienced soldiers are not exposed to the most dangerous part of fighting. They are also used as minesweepers, forced to march before the militias through the minefields to soak up the mines and clear the way for main armies. They are trained to kill and sometimes forced to kill other children as a test to prove their bravery and training. All of these actions mentioned clearly traumatize the children, possibly for life. Both sides rape women and murder civilians in no regard for human life and seemingly have no conscience. Entire villages are burned as militias sweep back and forth across the region, often wiping out entire families. The conflict has been raging since 2003, and now an entire generation of children who are now school-aged have grown up knowing nothing but horrors of this war as an everyday life and never having a home. There are many solutions to help Darfur. One solution being sending aid to the UN intervention effort, known as UNMIN. With troops and equipment, UNMIN can train its troops and use superior tactics and force to subdue both sides of the conflict and stop genocide. Neither side is highly organized or well-trained. As an effective ceasefire is established, the calm atmosphere will provide opportunity for refugees to live in peace and regroup. Families can use this time to travel in safety and reunite homes that are being built. Peace talks can begin between two sides, establishing goals and compromises on both sides and issues such as violence between militias, integrating Africans into the government, and ending persecution by Arab and African tribes. All of these are causes that sparked the Civil War in the first place. Another solution is arresting and putting the leaders of the separate factions on trial for crimes against humanity and using the established UNAMID force to free the child soldiers. Once each side is taken over by UNAMID, the leaders who have allowed the use of child soldiers can be arrested and brought to justice. The militias will be captured and the child soldiers that are employed in the militias can be rescued, reunited with their family, and begin the process of healing and overcoming their traumatic experiences. Once the camps are armed and supplied with enough men to protect the refugees, the fighting is stopped. Barbaric soldiers will no longer roam free around the region, and the raping and the murdering will be put to an end. When there are enough troops to guard the refugees, the attacks on them will be efficiently stopped. Women will no longer live in fear of the militias and can finally have some peace of mind knowing that they're protected. In conclusion, by supporting the UNAMID force, the U.S. can get the other nations to join the cause to finally stop the horrible acts occurring in Darfur, such as rape, murder, and the use of child soldiers. If something is not done, the two sides will purge Darfur of all order and fall into complete anarchy, and the body count will only rise. As human beings, we cannot allow this to continue. It is not the place of America as a country to intervene, but the entire world united as species to stop this. America's role is to send support and lead by example to begin the process of ending this conflict. The Holocaust of the 21st century is happening right now in Darfur. We've already allowed history to repeat something that we thought would never have happened again. This time, we will stop the killing before the numbers reaches 6 million. This time, we will act now. If we don't, we are no better than the Nazis and Sudanese who raped and murdered their own people.